Hi guys, so I'm Angie and this is Jen, and today we're going to talk about fast fashion and its effects on our environment and our home.
So here's a fun fact for you guys. Fast fashion is responsible for 10% of global carbon emissions and 20% of waste of water. What's up, AP Bio? This is Jen, and today I'm going to be talking about the problems caused by the fast fashion industry. One of the problems is excessive accumulation of microplastics, and the other problem is habitat degradation. So, first of all, I'm going to introduce polyester, which is a very common fabric used for our clothes today. And it is important to understand what polyester actually is. So it is basically plastic, and the specific type of plastic is PET. PET is made from polymerizing monoethylene glycol and terephthalic acid. These two monomers are basically hydrocarbons derived from a natural gas, petroleum. And PET is melted and extruded through a spinneret, then pulled into long, thin fibers. Then it is mixed with other chemicals and fibers to create polyester. So what are the harms of polyester? Because polyester is basically made from plastic, it will release some kind of microplastic in the air, and these microparticles will spread back to nature and our environment. And over time, more microplastics will accumulate in the air. So what are the harms of these microparticles? Not only do they affect the rooting ability of plants by altering soil bulk density and water holding capacity, they can also reduce photosynthetic rate by interfering with the balance of plant chlorophyll ratios. It can also destroy soil structure by reducing filtration capability of soil for rain and water. And most importantly, it directly affects nutrient mobility and moisture diffusion in soil by blocking soil pores, and this can disturb the soil nutrient cycle and ultimately affect plant growth. So with microplastics accumulating in the soil, there will be less plant growth overall. Another big problem is habitat degradation, especially in aquatic environments. So as microplastics in the soil accumulate, they can be spread around to other environments because they're very tiny and they can be carried by wind. And a large accumulation of microplastic in the ocean can pollute the ocean environment, which will directly affect the health of marine animal species that live in the ocean. Microplastics were found in almost 49% of the examined fish from the Northeast Atlantic Ocean, and these particles can decrease essential enzyme activity and suppress gene expression in these animals. They can also affect mammals and their predators. So they can basically alter trophic levels and decrease biodiversity in a community. So one of the affected animals is fish. And as I mentioned before, these microplastic particles can suppress enzyme activity, and that includes enzymes in the muscle, brain, and liver. Other than that, it can also have damaging effects on other parts of the fish as it eats microplastics, as seen by this picture. Another affected animal is mice, and it can have damaging effects on all of these organs presented in this image.
Why is fast fashion created? Well, brands like Zara, Forever 21, and Shein create large quantities of clothing that are extremely cheap to consumers while fitting into certain fashion trends. Shein reached over 66 million in 2023 and controlled over 40% of the US market, reaching about 23 billion in revenue in 2022. On the other hand, Shein has minimal overhead costs. So for example, Shein only operates online. It does not need a physical store or a retail space. Online being Shein's main platform, they monitor users' engagement activity to see which things are popular than others. And this is called an on-demand model. So when Shein sees one item is getting a lot more popularity, a lot more activity, it starts to produce more and more. So in other words, Shein does not overproduce. They only manufacture clothing once they understand or know that a certain item is getting a lot more engagement. However, even though these smaller batches save up to like 30 or 40%, it does not lead to waste overall. This is because how cheap it is. In addition, there has been an assumption that Shein uses involuntary labor because Shein hasn't been exactly transparent about its supply chains. There could be many policies that could be implemented. For example, in a global standpoint, the European Eco-Design for Sustainable Products Regulation, also known as the ESPR, can set single fiber cloth as a standard urging for sustainability. This goes along with the idea of the Sustainable Development Goal number 12, which promote obtaining a responsibility for production and consumption. Moving on to a national standpoint, the Fashion Sustainability and Social Accountability Act coming from New York would force brands to be more transparent about environmental and social responsibility. For example, they must state their carbon footprint. From that, the green or environmental or carbon taxes would hold these actions accountable and influence proper behavior. On the topic of state policy, the Garment Worker Protection Act, founded in California, will make sure that manufacturers must be paid hourly. In addition, the working conditions would improve. Lastly, the city policy Zero Waste Textile Initiative must be implemented. This will make sure that fabrics will not waste any products and everything will be recycled.
Here are some things you can do to avoid fast fashion. Step 1. Think before you buy. Ask yourself, do I really need this? Can I get this somewhere else? Second, you can rewear your old clothes. You can turn them into something new. Here's an example. Step 3. Never throw away your old clothes. They're gonna end up polluting our environment. Instead, you can donate them to Goodwill or something like Plato's Closet so that someone else can rewear them. Shop quality over quantity. Think trendless.